Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to have a conversation on submission. What submission is and what submission is not. Submission, simply put, is coming under someone's authority. And in this instance, it will be your husband if you're married. So submission is choosing. I know submission is a beautiful thing, but it's also a very touchy topic. So before you switch off, let's first see what submission is not. Now, I know that submission has been abused, and that's why it is a touchy topic. That is why even when the pastor is preaching about it, so many women switch off. And for generations, it has been abused. As women, we have seen our mothers, our aunties, our sisters, our friends being in abusive relationships where submission has been misused. So let's first see what submission is not. One, submission is not control. You cannot force someone to submit to you. Submission is a choice. It's actually a gift that your wife gives to you. So you cannot force your wife to submit. So if you're being forced to submit, that is different. That is control. So gentlemen out there, I'm hoping that by the time you marry your wife, they are an adult, they can survive on their own, they have a fully mature brain on their head. So it's not that you're a child, and that is why submission is not control. You know, it's not asking for permission. It's when we get married. It's marriages between two adults who are 18 and above, at least in our nation, Uganda. So that means your wife is an adult. So asking for permission for everything is also control. It's not submission. When you're dealing with an adult, there are approaches that show control instead of protection. So it's not asking for permission when you're going to the market, you know, because in African context, the woman who is asking for permission is very quiet. Submission is not being quiet. You can submit even when you're very talkative and even when you're naturally loud, and you might be so quiet and calm, but not submitting. Submission is not becoming a doormat. It's not allowing to be abused, to be misused, to be neglected, to be controlled, you know. Because when we enter into marriage, the wife is meant to bring what she has, the treasures that she has in her mind, the experiences that she has, so that together with her husband, when they put them together, they can create such a beautiful home. So the wife comes in with a lot of wealth through her experiences and upbringing and how she's naturally wired, you know. So it is not becoming a doormat. Marriage is not about being a doormat. Marriage is not about being, you know, stepped on. Marriage is a beautiful, marriage is beautiful, and it provides, a safe marriage actually provides space for you as a woman to express yourself, your opinions, your dreams, your aspirations. So marriage is not shutting you down. I mean, submission is not shutting the wife down. And I know we have seen it in our society. We have seen all those things. Submission is not being battered. We have seen all those things, and we think as girls, as women, men in our society think that a woman who submits is a woman who is stepped on. is a woman who has no voice, is a woman who will be belittled and treated and stepped on, and she will not say something. Is a woman basically who is just powerless. Now, the picture of the woman I've just described is not attractive. I don't want to be that woman. And I pray that another woman is also not like that. So it has been abused, and because of all those things that I've talked about, women have switched off when it comes to submission, and now submission has become a taboo. So after we have said what submission is not, and maybe let me explain why some of those things are not submission, because you see, even with your own children, when your child is growing up, as they transition from childhood to youth, to their teenage, to their young adulthood, to their adulthood, you transition certain things, like certain instructions start to come up, You start to trust them with responsibilities. Now, when you can't talk to, the way you used to talk to them at 5 is not the same way you talk to them at 15 or at 18. So we transition as our children are growing. Our parenting has to change. So now when you get married, and the marriage, the submission in your marriage, when you marry someone, you treat them even like a child, They have to ask for permission to go somewhere. And then if you say no, they must stay around. In marriage, we have to be able to trust each other. We are two adults who have chosen. You did not abduct this girl and made her your wife. So she chose to be your wife. That means she's an adult. So for me, I usually say that, for things like permission, talk about them. Let your spouse know, this week, this day, I'm planning to do this. If you have reservation, then they will get back to you. You can have all that conversation, so you can hear, do they have any reservation? Is there a reason as why they think, well, that trip might not work? That is healthier than it becoming, you have to ask for permission. I remember when we were children, we used to do that. We used not even like it. So as an adult, I don't want to be in my marriage also asking for permission, and like being treated as if like I'm a child but married. It is not a good picture. But now that we've talked about what submission is not, it's not all those things, and I know we have seen them in our society, and sometimes we subscribe to them. Now that we've talked about what it's not, let's go to what it is. So basically going to base what submission is on Ephesians chapter 5 verse 22, but also there's also 21 that talks about submitting one to another. It says, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Now, I want to allow that we can't talk about submission minus love. God instructs husbands to love their wives, so that as you submit, the husband is also loving. But for us as women, the Bible tells us to submit to our husband, and I hope you underline husband. So submission is not to every other man in your life or in society. It's to your own husband. I submit to my husband. I don't submit to every man in my life, but my husband. So Submission is unto your own husband. So that one man that you have chosen to do life with, that you trust. And I think if you have not watched my video on the mistakes that single women make before at that time when they are choosing a husband, please go and watch it, because that when you're single, when you're making that decision on who you're going to settle down with, who you're going to get married to, that's the time you're choosing who you're going to submit to. And submission has to do also with trust. If you don't trust someone, if you don't trust your husband, then it becomes very hard. If you have been, if you have had, if your father maybe was abusive, and you don't have trust, or you just have, you struggle when it comes to following or being led, then chances are that you're going to struggle. But in life we all grow. So we all grow. So when you find yourself in that situation, you can find a mentor. You can start to slowly by slowly start to pray through some of the wounds in your heart. But submission, one, is a good thing. It brings order in our families, in our societies, so that even the husband takes up his role. So it has actually benefits for us as women. Submission puts a covering, because headship also has to do with covering and protection. So you are protected when you are submitting under your husband as a wife. Sometimes it's even hard to explain, but that's the truth. Spiritually and even physically, you are protected, because he becomes as if like a covering over you when we submit when you submit under your husband. But also as women, submission is meant to help us take certain responsibilities of us that we are not wired to carry or to deal with or to sort. We are not wired as women to head homes, and that weight is not supposed to be something we're supposed to carry. As a woman, you can easily carry a child, but when it comes to headship and having to worry about the family and the direction of the family, and all those things that a husband should be concerned about, or praying about, or talking to God about, when you carry that weight, it's too much for you. And to be honest, as a woman, when you carry it, it breaks you at some point. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to resent. If you're married and maybe the husband is passive, you're going to resent them for them being like that. So submission is meant to help take certain weights off of our shoulders as women. We're not to carry all those burdens. We are wired to nurture, So it comes natural for us, and we thrive when we are in our role. So submission helps us to thrive as women, and also helps the men to thrive in their headship, hoping that they are doing their part. Yes, hoping that they are doing their part as the head of as the head of the home. And submission is also it's leadership. When you submit under a good man, when you're married to a good man, the headship is not, his headship is not meant to scare you. A good leader will notice what you're good at. They will let you flourish if you're good at something. They will delegate certain things to you, because naturally maybe you're wired you're wired for something like that, or naturally you're good, or you've learned, you're learned in that field. So they are not insecure. They let you flourish. And that's the beautiful thing about submitting under really a good a good man, if you're married to a good man. It helps you also as a woman to find your place in your family. As the husband, lives, gives you certain things to do, knowing well that you're going to flourish in that area, and then he will carry the other areas where where he's either strong at, or the areas that he would really want to where he would want to put his strength. I don't know if I'm saying it right. The areas where, as he allows you to flourish, and the areas where he has delegated. So submission is actually not, like we said, it's not control. It's not your husband spying on you, or picking on you. When you're married to a good man and he allows you to flourish, he will notice the areas where you are, where your strength is. And then, because he's not insecure, he's going to let you flourish in those areas. So you carry the weight that you can carry, and then he also carries the weight that he can carry. So that way, the family is balancing. And he's not breaking, but also you're not breaking. So you're all flourishing in your family. Everyone is carrying what they are good at, or what they can carry. The submitting one to another also comes in play. That when you're good at something, let's say you're good at finances as a wife. That way, he will also submit to maybe the way you're balancing the books, and what you think, and how you think money should be handled. So it shouldn't be like that the head of the home thinks, no, I don't care how you balance the books for me. I think we should do it like this. That's where the submitting one to another also comes in. And submitting one to another actually comes into play in many other areas, like the day-to-day life, So, so that means he will also, submit to you. He will also agree when he thinks you're good at something, and yeah, he will say, okay. He will have to submit, because he is not the Holy Spirit in the marriage. He is not the all-knowing in the marriage. And a wise leader will know when to know, okay, yeah, my wife is right. Let's go with what she says or what she thinks. Yeah, but so submission is good, and I know it has been abused for generations. We've seen our sisters, our mothers, our aunties being abused, and that's why so many girls have decided, no, I'm not going to do this, because they've only seen the negative side of it. But it also has a beautiful positive. It has a good side to it. And as we have these conversations, if you have a question, ask it in the comment section, because my desire is that we can have these conversations and actually hit a balance. Where did we go wrong? Where did we misunderstand this? Where has it been abused? But where can the value be upheld, in our families? And even as I conclude, I just want to say that you can submit even when you're naturally a loud person, naturally, how do they call it? Naturally, submission is not only for the quiet. Submission is it's not only for the quiet wise. You can submit if you're quiet, if you're naturally loud and enthusiastic, and excited, you can submit. And I think along the way, the Lord helps all of us to know how best to handle it. And the biggest, the foundation of it is ask the Holy Spirit if you struggle. To be honest, there are times when I have struggled with it. And it's a journey even for me. But let's not give up. We have to teach the younger wives as they come along. So even us, we have to keep on we have to keep working on it. And we will, I'm sure along the way, as Christ plans his coming, we will figure it out. So thank you for watching. I hope the conversation has been building for you. And like I said, if you have a question, please put it in the comment section. If you've not understood something, also ask in the comment section. Let's have these conversations. And I also want to encourage you, have these conversations with your friends, have these conversations with your peers, have these conversations at your workplace. Let's keep having conversations so that we can grow, so we can change the negative mindset, but also so that the young men can also understand where, maybe the society has gone wrong, so they don't copy those same examples. So thank you for watching. See you in another conversation. Please share it with another person. See you in another conversation. Bye.